Hello and welcome to Chicago Reacts. My name is Lauren and today I am going to be looking at a video about the OceanGate submersible. OceanGate is worse than you thought. You know? I already thought it was pretty bad. But this is from the channel The Fool. So that's who did this video, and we're gonna learn about why it was so much worse than we originally considered. And it's been, it's been a while since OceanGate, but then again, I think this is probably coming back because there's yet another billionaire or whatever that is now like, I'm gonna go out into the ocean on my boat and do boat things like a billionaire does. And like, there's the other one, like, there's so many like Titanic stuff coming out recently. There's like a Titanic hotel or something. Like there's more people trying to go to the bottom of the sea. It's like, just maybe we shouldn't be like, look, if you're gonna go to the bottom of the sea, be a scientist, like do it, have it be your job. You have to be prepared for that. Like, I feel like people are like, oh, money, haha, I can do whatever I want to because of money. But no, you should probably have some kind of prep, some kind of knowledge that allows you to be good at it. Anyway, point being, we're going to learn out why OceanGate was even worse than we thought it was. And like, maybe we'll talk a little bit about the whole media thing too, like the nonsense that the media pulled about that whole shebang, but let's go.
In 1912, the Titanic claimed 1,500 lives. In 2023, it claimed 5 more.
Hi, my name is Stockton Rush. I'm the CEO and founder of OceanGate. Let's take a look at Titan.
Stockton was designing a mousetrap for billionaires.
A submersible vessel which takes people to see the wreck of the Titanic has gone missing in the Atlantic Ocean.
Tonight, an international search operation is underway.
Like the Titanic, it was a disaster just waiting to happen.
I've broken some rules to make this. I think I've broken them with logic and good engineering behind me.
At some point, safety just is pure waste.
An experimental submersible vessel.
I'm sorry, what did he just say? I've broken rules with logic, and safety is pure waste. I feel like, wasn't that part of the problem on the original Titanic? Like, I feel like there's like the rumor that there wasn't enough life boats. I think that was false. I think there were, but like they just weren't filling them to capacity, and so but like there was also like a lot of stuff on the original Titanic like broke at some point, which is like, safety is waste. Oh my God.
That has not been approved or certified by
the true more money than sense right here. This is the face of more money than sense.
With logic and good engineering behind me.
At some point, safety just is pure waste.
An experimental submersible vessel that has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body.
He quite literally and figuratively went out with the biggest bang. And who was the last person to murder 2 billionaires?
Okay, so like some of these people are just being sassy. Okay, this following video is satirical and journalistic in nature. The content may contain copyrighted material owned by a third party, the use of which has not always been specifically authorized by the copyright owner. Okay, all of that, yes. Oh, I feel like it's like we are gonna get mean, okay, guys? I feel like we're gonna get a little sassy about some of these billionaires, cause God. The only one I feel bad for, really, who was in that submersible was the kid who, like, from what I can understand, I remember he was like, what, 17 or something? Who was only there because his dad wanted him to be there. Like, he didn't really want to. So I feel kind of bad for the 17-year-olds. But other than that, I'm like, y'all are just morons. You did this to yourself. Sorry to be a victim blamer in this particular case, but I am. Exactly, but also don't, you can say mean things.
Stockton?
Say mean things out loud if you want. You can even type them in the comment, like, yeah, he was an idiot. But don't, harass his families or whatever. It should go without saying, and I don't think anyone in this audience would do that anyway.
He was supposedly a very smart boy, a graduate of Princeton University, and the youngest jet transport pilot in the world.
I wanted to be an astronaut. That's why I got an engineering degree. I watched Star Trek, Star Wars, all the video, and I wanted to see those alien life forms. And eventually I realized, one, I wasn't going to go to space, and I wasn't going to get to Jupiter or Mars. But I did realize that all the cool stuff that I thought was out there is actually underwater.
Stockton had become an expert in aerospace engineering. He did this in hopes of becoming the first person to set foot on Mars. But unfortunately for Stockton, someone else was likely to beat him to it.
And one day, we will indeed occupy Mars.
And maybe that's why Stockton decided to create the SpaceX of the ocean.
We always called ourselves SpaceX for the oceans. When I first met Stockton, he struck me as a very intelligent person. He also struck me as a very savvy engineer. Elon's doing the same thing at SpaceX, right?
So Stockton's obsession with space quickly became an obsession with the ocean.
And what I wanted to do with the business was just move the needle, get people excited about the ocean, explore the ocean, and discover what was out there.
Stockton's philosophy was simple. Why would we use resources to explore space when we haven't even fully explored Earth and its oceans? There's so much to explore in the ocean, as only 25% has been mapped with modern technology.
There will be a time when people will go to space at much less cost and very regularly. I think the same thing's going to happen going underwater.
See, this also, though, it's like, my man, though, play Bioshock. Like, it's not, you know, there's lots of movies and stuff about space and why that's a problem. There's lots of movies about the ocean too. And they're more horror in the ocean. Like space, there's at least some magical quality to some of them. Like in Star Trek, Star Wars, all of that. There is still like I don't know, is there any like thing that doesn't feature supernatural creatures? Like that's not about mermaids, about the ocean, that it doesn't end horribly. Every single, like, is there a movie out there with like ocean exploration type steel, like with Star Trek, about the ocean? Because I feel like every movie and TV show, video game, whatever, if it involves civilizations on the bottom of the ocean, it ends very badly.
It's going to get less expensive and much more accessible. That's where we're going to have cities, and that's where people are going to be. They're going to be down there exploring. To me, we'll have cities underwater before we have them up in space.
On the moon?
Yeah.
And this was Stockton's vision, an underwater city that would provide humans with sustainable resources for generations.
If you think about the Earth as really the land.
And but what I mean by that is where humans go. You know, we're not where like, because like in Firefly or whatever, you have like the humans have spread out into the space, right? And like they've occupied all these planets. There's humanity. You know, Star Trek, again, humans into space. I'm talking about places where there's a civilization already under the ocean, not like Atlantis or whatever. I'm talking about humans create a civilization under the water and it goes well. I can't think of one.
Mass that we all occupy, then there are 3 planets worth of resources available in the ocean. Minerals, chemicals, biological. It is a vast, huge opportunity.
An opportunity that was being overlooked in favor of space exploration.
Establishing a self-sustaining base on Mars.
The future of mankind is underwater. It's not on Mars. We're not going to have a base on Mars or the moon. You know, we'll try and waste a lot of money. We'll have a base underwater because when the sun extinguishes, there will still be hydrothermal vents. And there will still be those life forms down there that are living off chemosynthesis that don't need the sun. You know, when we trash this planet, the best lifeboat for mankind is underwater.
But getting humans to the bottom of the ocean is
Also, now all I can think about too is Taz Ethersea. Just like, all right, let's go. Like that's where. Oof, goodness.
very difficult task. It's dangerous, it's expensive.
There's a regulatory challenge.
And the current regulations wouldn't allow Stockton to build a submarine that could go deeper than 150 feet.
I think over time, Stockton just realized that the only way we were going to be able to help humanity unlock the secrets of the ocean was to get past the regulations and just prove that it could be done as safely as possible.
At some point, safety just is pure waste. I mean, if you just want to be safe, don't get out of bed, don't get in your car, don't do anything. Yeah. At some point, you're going to take some risk, and it really is a risk-reward question. I said, I think I can do this just as safely by breaking the rules.
So for the
See, so I can kind of see where he's coming from a little bit there. Like with the full context of the quote, it's like, yeah, if you're afraid of everything, if you're afraid, you have to take a risk at some point. But like, breaking sometimes, I can't believe I'm saying this, the rules are there for a reason. And there's a risk, but like from what I remember about this whole event is that he broke rules that 100% should not have been broken at all.
For the next few years, Stockton continued breaking the rules. He'd go on to document his entire journey in 4K, and he'd give lectures on submarine safety along the way.
And one of the things I came up with is a myth. One is that subs are dangerous. In the last 35 years, there hasn't been a serious injury, and there have been over 15 million people go in them. But they're statistically the safest vehicles on the planet.
When they're made right, like, you gotta make it correctly, though.
Stockton didn't always have this attitude towards safety. The early days of OceanGate were an entirely different story.
Only after a complete systems test is the OceanGate crew ready to dive.
The company's first sub was a vessel called Antipodes, and it was the perfect test sub for OceanGate.
It's our first sub, Antipodes, and we use that as our training sub.
58 inches diameter. It is about 15 feet long.
This sub had already been certified by the American Bureau of Shipping, so there was a very slim chance of it imploding. It was designed to withstand depths of around 1,000 feet, which is impressive, but nowhere near the depth of the Titanic.
This is where the Titanic is on the ocean floor, below 12,500 feet of water.
But OceanGate weren't ready for the Titanic just yet. At this point, they were just a local submarine team, and in the early days, their eyes were set on some lesser-known shipwrecks.
A local submarine team is exploring the wreck of a luxury passenger liner that sank 90 years ago this spring off the coast of Port Townsend.
Today we're doing our third day of diving on the SS Governor.
The SS Governor was located in Washington, and it was often referred to as the area's mini Titanic.
The Governor was a luxury liner that was on its way from San Francisco to Seattle on April 1st, 1921. Shortly after midnight, it collided with a freighter. 8 of the 240 people on board went down with the ship.
For years, there have been rumors that it went down with a loaded safe.
Of course there were.
The infamous safe.
That safe is believed to contain around $4 million worth of gold coins.
I feel like anytime there's a shipwreck, people are like, there's a lot of treasure on the ship.
At first, I thought OceanGate was trying to pull off a $4 million submarine heist. You know, just like the opening scene in the first Titanic movie.
It's payday, boys.
But as it turns out, even if they did happen to find the treasure, they would have been forced to hand it over to the man who owns its salvage rights. So I guess OceanGate weren't in this area for profit. They really just wanted to explore the area and test their new sub's capabilities.
The crew of the sub is practicing its approaches to the Governor in 240 feet of water for a much more dangerous inspection of the Montebello at 900 feet down.
After the mini Titanic, OceanGate would move on to a much deeper shipwreck. Their goal was to ramp up the depths of their dives, one shipwreck at a time.
It's part of our
that makes sense.
A California expedition that we're doing in September to a shipwreck called the SS Montebello.
The Montebello was a U.S. oil tanker that was torpedoed by a Japanese sub off the coast of California during World War II.
The SS Montebello was not another ship holding treasure. In fact, it was quite the opposite.
It went down with an estimated 70,000 barrels of oil on board.
And it's posing a huge environmental threat to California's coastline.
OceanGate wanted to make a name for themselves by preventing this environmental threat. And their plan was to create a 3D map of the wreck using their new sonar technology.
The team is also testing the latest in 2- and 3-dimensional sonar equipment.
And we're taking our sub and our Blueview sonar system down there to create a 3D map of that wreck.
Not many people know about these expeditions, but they were a critical part of OceanGate's early days. And after mapping out that oil spill, they were ready for phase 2 of their company's mission.
An historic Washington state tragedy is helping head off a future one down the coast. In Seattle, Gary Chittum, King 5 News.
This local submarine team was taking over the ocean. Stockton increases the budget, and after 130 successful dives, investors were asking the same question. Was this team going to be the next SpaceX? Name of the company, OceanGate Incorporated. It's a cutting-edge, high-tech firm out of the Midwest, awaiting imminent patent approval on the next generation of submersible vehicles. Right now, the stock trades over the counter at 10 cents a share. But with the collaboration of one of hip-hop's biggest stars, our analysts indicate it could go a heck of a lot higher than that.
And I'm eating at the beat like it gave a little speed to a great white shark on shark. We rock.
Tonight,
all right,
I'm taking in the show of a lifetime. The opening act. Ratfish, dogfish.
See, again, the thing is, I can see why people would have been like excited about this, you know, before what actually ended up happening, like the ultimate tragedy of it all. But like, this is exciting. This is cool. Like, it's so, like, now that I know that there's this cool stuff that happened before, I'm kind of salty. I'm like, even angrier about what happened later.
Electrifying. The main attraction, the adventure of a lifetime, is a bizarre king of the deep. Now, normally, I'm the one on stage. But tonight, I'm in the audience. And this is my backstage pass.
Okay, blah, blah, blah.
My name is Ben Haggerty, better known as Macklemore.
Macklemore was on top of the world in 2014. It was the year he won 4 Grammy Awards.
And the Grammy goes to Macklemore and Ryan Lewis.
But his most underrated win that year was his collaboration with Stockton Rush.
I think we're gonna find sharks.
The pair would team up in search of the incredibly rare 6-gill shark, a trait that was very uncommon amongst most shark species.
What is the probability that we will see a shark today?
Somewhere between 0 and 100.
Okay.
Macklemore had been a fan of sharks his entire life, and he was pretty skeptical that Stockton would find a shark as rare as the 6-gill.
If we don't see a shark, you'll buy me a shark.
A little one.
A baby shark. Yeah, baby. All right. That's a deal.
It's a deal. Okay.
But little did he know, they would find a shark. In that yellow submarine, under 400 feet of water, Stockton and Macklemore were going to create memories that would last forever.
Oh my God.
6-gill. 6-gill.
That is so cool.
We have a 6-gill at the viewport.
I mean,
exciting.
Best day of Macklemore's
Didn't think
life.
it was gonna happen. Pulled it out. Our mission is complete.
Okay, that's cool.
It has been an unbelievable experience, something that I will absolutely never forget. That was awesome. And it's made me love sharks even more.
Stay true, stay true, stay true.
That's so exciting. Oh, that's good for him. You
And that
know,
was it.
I'm happy.
That was the business model at the time for OceanGate.
We do dives looking for 6-gill sharks and things like that are at 5,000.
It's a very unusual business. It's its own category. It's a new type of travel.
And eventually, they'd be selling tickets to the Titanic for up to $250,000 a person.
This is where it gets like, this is where it starts to get a little, it's like, okay, but do you let the scientists in on this? Like, do you let people like, who maybe like don't have the funding, but like would actually be able to like understand what they're seeing? Like oceanographers, marine biologists, like do they get any kind of discount? Like, this is where it starts to be like, okay, when does it just, because I mean, I understand that they have to make money too. Like in order to be able to make the thing, like I understand that this is like a pricey sort of business. But at the same time, I'm just like, are you letting people without that kind of money, but like who could actually use this information, are you letting them use this stuff too?
It wasn't going to be in Antipodes. Remember, this yellow sub was only certified for dives that were 1/12 the depth of the Titanic. And unfortunately for Stockton, you couldn't just buy or rent a sub that was capable of going 12,500 feet. Stockton believed it was the strict laws and regulations that were preventing him from innovating the submersible industry. So he came to the conclusion that he only had one reasonable option remaining, building his own sub.
Initially, we didn't think we were going to build our own subs. We thought we were going to get somebody else to build our subs. The industry standard just wouldn't allow for them to build what we felt we needed.
Because they felt it wasn't
humanity needed
safe.
to explore the ocean.
So they did what a lot of companies do. They break the rules and act now. Then
Like sometimes though, the technology just isn't there. You know, I mean, like it kind of is. People have gotten to the Titanic level before, like James Cameron did. Like, it's like we know it's doable, but that was hella dangerous too.
they asked for forgiveness later, and the name they decided to give their first custom-built sub,
Cyclops, a new manned submersible, now undergoing sea trials.
There you go. That's pretty good right there. Okay.
It was time to go all in. Stockton was going to ignore the industry's strict rules and regulations. It was time to prove them all wrong.
Cyclops is going to be a very useful tool for any organization, company, or institution that needs to go underwater and perform tasks at depth.
Cyclops is the newest creation of OceanGate, a for-profit private company in partnership with the University of Washington's Applied Physics Laboratory.
We couldn't have done it without that partnership. You know, the Applied Physics Lab has been effectively our engineering partner.
I am still trying to figure out, like, he's like, I'm going to break all the rules and, like, go against regulations and stuff. And if somehow, I guess he'll tell me eventually, but, like, how is he doing that without getting shut down by, you know, the regulatory bodies?
This wasn't going to be a usual submarine. Stockton wanted to create the most simple and easy to use submarine on the market.
Stockton is very interested in being able to quickly train pilots, have pilots be able to come in and use this thing without having to go through weeks of training on there.
Solution? This video game controller.
We use this game controller to drive the sub. First thing is there are 2 dead man switches. You have to press one of these buttons and now it's ready to go.
And in 2015, the sub was ready to go. So Stockton organized the big reveal and the christening ceremony was set to begin.
Okay, on behalf of the whole OceanGate team and all the team members who are here tonight, I christen the Cyclops.
So all of our test program has been about incremental testing. We started over 2 years ago with Cyclops 1. Out here, this is really focused on one thing, and that's the pressure vessel and making sure that component is safe and capable of handling depths down to 4,000 meters repeatedly.
I feel so lucky I got to do one dive while the Cyclops was here.
But Cyclops wasn't the final product. Cyclops 2 began development a few years later, although Stockton didn't like that name very much, so they rebranded to Titan.
Hi, my name is Stockton Rush. I'm the CEO and founder of OceanGate. Let's take a look at Titan.
If you thought Cyclops was simplistic, just wait till you see its successor.
It's got one button, and that's it. We have our control screen here, our sonar screen here, and we can put any image we want in the back.
It's one of the only subs that can hold 5 people.
It's also the only one with a toilet. Sort of.
There were some parts that kind of looked like they held together.
And yet, I couldn't help noticing how many pieces of this sub seemed improvised.
We can use these off-the-shelf components. I got these from Camper World. We run the whole thing with this game controller.
Come on!
And so what if people laugh? Titan was fully operational in just a few years, and it was all made possible with the leadership of Stockton Rush.
I think you did it, Stockton.
There's some luck here.
High five!
High five on white guys. Here we go. Okay.
God. High five for the white guys, really? But also, it's just like, sometimes things don't need to be that pared down. You need to, like, having one button to control everything sounds foolish. Like, what if there's like a wire that gets a little bit damaged and now nothing works? Like, again, I don't remember exactly what happened here, but like, there was like I know that it imploded. There was like a problem with like the actual design of the thing, but like, it's just like, it feels so, it's like everything is just it's digital, it's on screens, and it's like, there's nothing that you can actually touch or mess with or fit, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a Luddite, but I'm just like, this feels like a bad plan.
Maybe a win-win. Maybe. Yeah.
And as days became months, and months became years, that little sub was passing every test imaginable.
This is why you want your pilot to be an engineer.
He believed that building this sub would help him unlock the secrets of the ocean. But Stockton wasn't building his own submarine. He was building his own coffin.
It's a miracle it can do what it does when you look at it there, because when you look at it, it is very small. Yeah, it looks like it's put together with a piece of string, but it's not, obviously.
We can scale to multiple vehicles relatively quickly because we've used commercially off-the-shelf products for almost everything we do. We can bring additional vessels online in a matter of months as opposed to years or decades.
So Stockton plans to create even more low-budget submersibles, and soon enough, he was going to have his own fleet of submarines. The only question being, were they safe?
Absolutely fucking not.
Yeah, right? Because it's one of those. It's
I'd like
hey,
to be remembered as an innovator.
See this corner?
I think it was General MacArthur said, "You're remembered for the rules you break." And I've broken some rules to make this, I think I've broken them with logic and good engineering behind me. The carbon fiber and titanium, there's a rule you don't do that. Well, I did.
The most controversial feature of Titan was its carbon fiber hull. This was considered controversial because the industry standard material was titanium.
Engineers zero in on titanium, a super strong and lightweight material that would allow deep-sea vehicles to reach the Titanic. It is with this material that today's most inventive submarine builders continue to push technology forward to penetrate the ocean's deepest regions.
But Stockton didn't like titanium. He believed carbon fiber was the better material.
Carbon fiber is 3 times better on a strength to buoyancy basis than titanium. And underwater, that's what you care about. It's not strength to weight, it's strength to buoyancy. And yet no one had done that.
Titan was able to skirt the law by operating in international waters.
Okay, see, there it is. All right, frickin' international waters, strike again. Like, okay, I'm glad he answered my question from earlier. I'm just like so wiggly right now. I'm sorry. But like, oh my God. It's so, did he not like try and find out why no one was using carbon fiber? Like, is there a good reason for it? I mean, obviously it seems like there was a good reason to not use it, but like, just because you think you have a good idea. And again, like, if you never try to test boundaries, nothing ever gets done. That is true, but sometimes there is a reason for the way things are.
And although it passed multiple test dives, many believed the carbon fiber hull was slowly being damaged over time.
If the sub passed its pressure test, it wasn't going to fail on the first dive, but it's going to fail over time. It might fail on dive 7,
right?
Which is insidious. You don't get that with steel or with titanium.
Okay, see? Answered it right away. It's like carbon fiber is not as strong ultimately because it gets damaged easier.
Carbon fiber is a great material. It's better than titanium. It's better than a lot of other materials.
When I started the business, old-timers in the industry told me I was nuts, and they continue to tell me that.
So Stockton continued operating his carbon fiber sub, recording the entire assembly process along the way.
Oh yeah, so that will be the pressure vessel for Cyclops 2. It will go to 4,000 meters. It'll be the deepest diving carbon fiber sub ever built. When it goes to 4,000 meters, it'll be the only one out there. I'm going to be the first guy in the sub, so we will see. It's pretty simple, but if we mess it up, there's not a lot of recovery.
With his goal being to explore the bottom of the ocean, you'd reasonably expect some sort of certification from a third-party agency. However, Titan was never certified by any regulatory body. And that's because Stockton believed that these agencies were
over the top in their rules and regulations, but they had nothing with carbon fiber. So we had to go out and work on that. And one of the things I learned is, you know, when you're outside the box, it's really hard to tell how far outside the box you really are. And we were pretty far out there. So we have a carbon fiber hull.
His thoughts
It's just like, we're just so extra and special and like baby girl about it all. So therefore we don't need any safety inspections. Like, he's like, I'm too smart for this. It is one of those things. Again, more money than sense. It started out great. Like when he was following the rules, things were going pretty well. They found some cool stuff. They were able to do some really interesting things. Sometimes he started moving too fast, I think. His hubris got him.
Breaking the rules is really about thinking outside the box and coming up with innovative solutions.
I mean, anything when you're trying something outside the box, people inside the box think you're nuts. Same thing when Elon Musk was doing SpaceX. Inside the box, everything's scary.
Titan continued to pass every test that Stockton could throw at it, and eventually, Titan needed a new milestone, a new goal to reach. So can you guess where it was headed next?
The goal was, where do you want to go in the ocean? What is the most known site in the ocean? And it's clearly the Titanic.
Ah yes, the Titanic. She really was the most beautiful ship in the world. Said to be unsinkable, but destined to go down on her maiden voyage. The Titanic has been a symbol of excessive confidence for over a century, and together with the irony of OceanGate's failed expedition, it'll probably remain relevant for another 100 years.
I liked the graph. The graph was very funny.
But why would anyone risk their life to see such an ancient shipwreck?
Hubris.
Well, Titanic was the highest grossing film for many years, and on top of
Hubris
that,
and money.
James Cameron, the director of that movie, he completed his own expedition to obtain real cinematic footage.
I actually made the film
because I wanted to go and dive to the Titanic wreck. And then I had to make this movie. Okay, all right, I'll make the movie. And then that worked out well. And so then I could afford to go some more. There was this powerful, almost magnetic attraction to find out what's down there.
So, like, again, why did we not consult James Cameron about any of it? It's like, because like I said, the technology did technically exist to get there. Like, why did we not talk to him about it? Like, he's been there.
Titanic sort of is like a black hole. It sucks you in.
And the next person to be sucked into this black hole was, of course,
So the Titanic is just such a huge draw.
It became a must-do dive. I read an article that said there are 3 words in the English language that are known throughout the planet, and that's Coca-Cola, God, and Titanic.
If you ever watched the 1997 movie, you'd know it's a combination of both history and fiction. The film centers around the fictional love triangle of Rose, Jack, and Caledon. And when shit hits the fan, we'd get to see the characters' true colors.
What to him? To be a gutter rat.
I'd rather be his than your wife.
But remember, this story was just fictional. However, on the other side of the ship, we'd get a glimpse of the story that kicks off our sequel, Titanic 2.
Please, Ida, get into the boat. No!
This is Isidore and Ida Strauss, 2 passengers who were actually on board the Titanic in 1912. Their tale is well documented and has been recreated in various films and musicals.
We've been together for 40 years, and where you go, I go. Don't argue with me, Isidore. You know it does no good.
Isidore and Ida would go down with the ship in 1912, but not before having a number of descendants, one of them being the communications director at OceanGate, and who also just so happened to be married to a man named Stockton. And maybe that's why Stockton was so obsessed with continuously going down to the Titanic.
Our goal was to go back to the Titanic year after year, scan it with sonar, and document the wreck and its decay and discover what we can discover.
And so the stage was set for the adventure of a lifetime. But Stockton couldn't fund these expeditions on his own, so he began advertising his once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to the public. And the now deleted promotional video was set to be released.
OceanGate Expeditions offers you the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be a specially trained crew member safely diving to the Titanic wreckage site.
How diving how? Diving how then? How are we diving? Safely.
Get ready for what Jules Verne could only imagine. A 12,500-foot journey to the bottom of the sea. It's the OceanGate Titanic experience.
We partnered...
I mean, it certainly was, wasn't it? They did not lie. That is truth in advertising, baby, but just not the way that they anticipated.
Aerospace experts at the University of Washington, NASA, and Boeing on the design of our hull.
Oh God, Boeing.
It's very well...
Was this the start of Boeing's troubles? Was this the start of Boeing's troubles here? It might be, it might do. That was maybe one of their issues, is that they went...
engineered and very safe, and the team is very focused on safety first.
Not 1 second of me experiencing anything from OceanGate have I ever felt unsafe.
As I pointed out on the bridge earlier, your safety plans all around the vessel.
Come join us on our next expedition. Don't miss the opportunity to be part of history. The OceanGate Titanic experience. There's truly nothing else like it.
But this wasn't just another episode of Black Mirror, nor was it an episode of The Twilight Zone. This was reality. And although quite a few people were eager to get themselves a ticket, there was still one question that remained.
What's the level of danger with this type of expedition?
Well, surprisingly, the safest part of the expedition will be the submarine part. In the last 35 years, there hasn't been an injury on a commercial private sub, although there have been over 15 million people go in them.
Okay, but again, that is because they made them according to regulations, though, Stockton.
The sea is intrinsically a risky activity.
but we're doing everything we can to make sure that it's as safe and comfortable as possible.
Well, Stockton
went on quite a few media runs during this period, with the goal of highlighting OceanGate's mission.
Our rule is we risk capital, we don't risk people.
The media coverage before the incident flaunted a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
It looks like there are these rust formations. That's actually what's left over from the bacteria that's consuming it at a huge rate.
Really? So we may not be able to see it forever. So go get into a submersible now.
No, lady.
Finally, the crew seemed to foster a culture of safety. There were checklists, inspections before and after every dive, and a 3 strikes rule. If 3 things seemed out of the ordinary, no matter how minor, they'd cancel the dive.
But the media coverage after Titan's implosion was an entirely different story.
Everyone I know keeps asking me the same question. Why would you get on that dangerous sub?
A 60-minute special identifying over 30 members of the marital community who warned Stockton about Titan's safety procedures, and a chief submersible pilot who was fired and subsequently sued for speaking out against OceanGate.
If someone raised a safety concern as the chief...
So much for 3 freaking strikes. You have all of these people telling you that things are dangerous. It's like, stop letting your... Okay, again, more money than sense. We already know that the billionaires are fools. Like, we already know this, but
pilot did. They were not only not listened to, they were silenced.
But with all that being said, if you did manage to get a ticket to the Titan expedition, you can't say that Stockton didn't warn you.
This is an experimental sub. People are informed that it's very dangerous down there. It's an open book here. Do you have any questions about what's going on, about acoustic monitoring, about carbon fiber problems we had, rumors of problems we had, actual problems we had? You know, feel free to ask. You know, we're happy to show everything. We want everyone going into this fully informed. This is an experimental sub. This is a dangerous environment. It's 6,000 PSI. Very few people have been down there. And so we want to make sure that you're going in with an open eye and you understand what's going on. If you don't want to do it at any time, feel free to say, hey, I want to take a pass, and we can work something out. You know, maybe bring you another year or something else. But, you know, really want to make sure you're aware of all this.
And as a last-ditch effort to limit their liability, you'd also have to sign OceanGate's waiver.
An experimental submersible vessel that has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body and could result in physical injury, disability, emotional trauma, or death. Where do I sign?
Great.
June 18th, 2023. The OceanGate Titanic experience is set to begin.
Are reporting a dive as a go. Please stand by.
5 crew members are sealed into the submersible, and so is their fate.
CEO Stockton Rush, businessman Hamish Harding,
French explorer Paul-Henri Nargeolet,
businessman Shahzada Dawood and his 19-year-old son Suleiman were on the expedition as part of a father's
19, not 17, but still.
Day trip.
Everything was going according to plan.
Crazy to want to go to be on the very first one that is never, like, for a Father's Day trip. Like, the Explorer I get, but, like, I don't know. I feel like for your first expedition, it should be explorers and scientists and probably and Stockton. You know, he's not going to want to miss it out. But, like, again, more money than sense. Absolute insane behavior.
One of the questions about this is how risky is going in the sub. Turns out in this expedition, probably the safest thing will be once you're underwater. You know, once I'm a couple of feet underwater, I know I'm coming back. I know everybody's coming back.
System malfunction.
In just under 2 hours, Titan had lost communication with its mothership, but the crew at the surface did not file a missing report for nearly 8 hours.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Finally, someone snapped.
Call the fucking Coast Guard!
A submersible vessel which takes people to see the wreck of the Titanic has gone missing in the Atlantic Ocean.
Tonight, an international search operation is underway.
We'll continue to put every available asset that we have in an effort to find the Titan and the crew members.
Every news station in the world was in on this story. They brought in experts, former passengers, hell, they even got James Cameron on the line.
Stockton Rush asked me if I wanted to go out there and dive this season. You know, I wasn't interested.
And then
The fact that James Cameron wasn't interested maybe should have been another little red flag for you. Just a little. I need a little red flag to wave around or something. But like, my guy.
Came the rumors. A leaked transcript of the crew's final moments and a series of tapping sounds were supposedly heard around Titan's last known location. But of course, both of these rumors were declared fake by the feds.
Tapping sounds are ridiculous.
All that was left was a few hours of oxygen and a race against time.
Have just hours of oxygen left,
Except
now
for
heightening
probably
the
not.
race against time to rescue the 5 people inside.
Time was running out. And well, they did end up finding that submarine.
Debris from the Titan has been brought to the surface from the ocean floor. Several pieces of the doomed vessel.
Once the pressure vessel is, you're certain it's not going to collapse on everybody, everything else can fail. Your thrusters can go, your lights can...
The pressure vessel, bro. That was an interesting way to end it. That was a really interesting way to end that with it just... I kind of loved that. That was a clever ending. Okay. Freaking the fool. Like, again, just a lot of terrible decisions went into that, it seems like. And, oh, God. So many bad choices were made. Like... And again, it's one of those things that he was told at every opportunity. Like, people were telling him it was dangerous and that he shouldn't. And like, I don't know. It's nonsense. It's not, it's like, my guy, you had every opportunity to turn back. You were warned that it was a bad decision. Everything about it seemed foolish. Whoa, we're scaling back on everything. No, don't. My guy. Anyway. That was interesting. I had no idea about that stuff from the early days. And honestly, if they had stuck with that, it probably would have been fine. If he wasn't so obsessed with making a name for himself, he might have made a name for himself in a good way. Instead of being the guy who cuts corners and tried to steer us, like tried to make a submarine with a video game control. It's like, if he had just like done the thing, like, if he had just done, like, again, he didn't have to make a name for himself by like breaking all the rules and doing the Titanic thing. He could have followed the rules and still been well known for doing some really cool stuff with submarines, and like, because he had the money to do cool stuff and to like actually show people and to have people learn about things. Like, he could, if he had, that's, I think, what makes me so, that's what makes me the most angry, I think, about the whole thing, is because it could have been so good. He had the money to really make a difference, but instead he was so obsessed with needing to be different about it. Like, ugh. You know? Anyway. I definitely learned something there. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. This is, I know, a little bit different than stuff I usually watch on this channel. This is usually more the kind of thing that would probably go onto the Americans Learns channel, but I was curious. I was like, I think it's fine. So if you do want to see more stuff like this, go ahead and let me know. And if you don't, you can tell me that too. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.